She watched him, always watching. Her eyes, two emerald flames, flickered with suspicion. Every smile he gave another woman, every laugh they shared, felt like a betrayal. He couldn't understand it. Why this gnawing jealousy? He loved her, only her, but his reassurances were met with cold silence, or worse, an icy rage that sent shivers down his spine. "You think I'm stupid?" she would hiss, her voice dripping with venom. "I see how you look at them." He felt like a prisoner in his own home, his every move scrutinized, his every word twisted. The love he once felt began to wither under the weight of her suffocating jealousy. The house, once a sanctuary, became a battleground. Dust bunnies gathered in corners, dishes piled high in the sink. Their once warm home had transformed into a cold, unwelcoming space. She refused to lift a finger. "It's a woman's work," she would declare, her voice laced with disdain, yet she herself remained idle, spending her days lost in gossip magazines and teleshopping channels. His paychecks, earned through honest sweat and toil, disappeared into her purse. New clothes, expensive jewelry, endless spa treatments, her desires knew no bounds. He was left with empty pockets and a heavy heart. The life they had envisioned, a partnership built on love and shared responsibility, seemed to crumble a little more each day. Her lies were like whispers at first, subtle insinuations planted in the fertile ground of family gatherings. "He's been distant," she'd murmur to his sister, her eyes wide with feigned hurt. "Working late, you know how it is." His denials were met with skepticism. Her performance was flawless, a masterclass in manipulation. She wove a tapestry of deceit, each thread carefully chosen to isolate him further. Soon the whispers turned to accusations, his character assassinated with each venomous word. His family, once his refuge, now viewed him with suspicion and doubt. He was trapped in a web of her making, his pleas for reason drowned out by the chorus of disbelief she had orchestrated. He discovered the truth by accident, a crumpled receipt for a hotel room tucked away in her purse. The date, etched in his memory, coincided with a business trip he had taken. The irony was cruel, unbearable. She, the accuser, the architect of his misery, was the one who had strayed. The realization hit him like a physical blow, leaving him breathless and reeling. He confronted her, the evidence trembling in his hand, but she remained unfazed, her eyes cold and calculating. "Don't be ridiculous," she scoffed, her voice laced with contempt. "You're imagining things." Section 5. A family divided. The lies escalated, her web of deceit growing larger and more intricate. She turned his own family against him, painting him as a monster, a liar, a cheat. His brother, once his closest confidant, now refused to take his calls. His mother, her eyes clouded with disappointment, looked at him as if he were a stranger. He was alone, adrift in a sea of doubt and betrayal. The pain of her infidelity was magnified by the loss of his family, their love and support ripped away by her venomous lies. He tried to explain, to plead his innocence, but his words fell on deaf ears. The seeds of doubt she had sown had taken root, poisoning the hearts of those he loved most. Section 6. Trapped in the looking glass. He saw himself reflected in her eyes, his image distorted, grotesque, a monster of her own creation. Doubt gnawed at him, whispering insidious suggestions. Was he to blame? Had he somehow driven her to this? He searched for answers in the wreckage of their marriage, but found only pain and confusion. Her constant accusations, the relentless barrage of lies, had chipped away at his sense of self. He felt lost, adrift in a labyrinth of her making, unable to find his way back to the man he once was. Section 7. The weight of loneliness. He craved escape, yearned for the solace of understanding, but where could he turn? His friends, worn down by his wife's incessant drama, had distanced themselves. He was alone, trapped in a gilded cage of his own making. The weight of his loneliness pressed down on him, suffocating him, threatening to crush his spirit entirely. The silence of their home was deafening, broken only by the sound of his own ragged breathing. He was a ghost haunting the ruins of their love, a prisoner in his own life. Section 8. Yearning for a distant shore, he dreamt of escape, of a life free from her suffocating presence. He imagined himself on a distant shore, the salty breeze carrying away the stench of her lies. But fear held him captive, the fear of being alone, of starting over, of facing the world without the armor of their shared history. He was caught in a web of his own making, bound by the invisible threads of obligation, guilt, and a faint, lingering hope that things could somehow change. Section 9. The chains of familiarity. He knew he deserved better, yet he stayed. Perhaps it was the fear of the unknown, or the faint hope that she might change, or maybe it was simply the weight of familiarity, the comfort of routine, however painful it had become. He was a prisoner who had come to prefer the darkness of his cell to the blinding light of freedom, and so he remained, trapped in the toxic dance of their marriage, his spirit slowly withering under the weight of her lies and deception.